What's going on, y'all? Nation Boy checking in. Happy to introduce to you our Rooted and Ready conversation channel. This is going to be a channel dedicated on showing the behind the scenes conversations that we're having that we don't record. We've been doing this for some years now. We intentionally keep conversations very private because it's just, you really want to have that authentic dialogue. You really want to be able to share that space in a real way, and it never involved cameras. But what we're understanding now is that a lot of people are calling for the community. A lot of people are buying into the concept of the community, but they're asking, what does this community look like? What do these conversations sound like? How do you add that trust factor into building community? And so our intention with this whole channel is just to have the back end conversations kind of diced down by myself, other community members, and we're just going to give you our vantage point on what we took from these conversations. Whether we were in the room or not, it's our community, so we're just pouring in to the framework by being as honest and authentic as possible. And it's really a lot of value when you approach things in that way. So this Rooted and Ready conversation is going to take different spectrums of our engagement with the community, from Farm Fresh 24/7, buying, bartering, and selling with one another, to collectively sustainable, actually skill sharing and doing workshops and demonstrations and hosting socials as a stewardship center, what that looks like from the back end. And then lastly, we're basically opening up the floor for people to kind of see what we're doing as a phase 2 community. So phase 1 is where most people are. That's where you start where you are and you're saying, hey, I'm just going to divest from the system. I'm going to support local growers in my area. I'm going to use Farm Fresh. I'm going to use Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to use some avenue to find people in my area to divest money from the system and pour it into people, right? That extension of that first phase is now you join Collectively Sustainable and you start to navigate that space while building community. So the overall goal is establish relationships and then a bond within that relationship that says we're going to support each other. Collectively, we can sustain. That's phase 1. That's where most of us are. We don't have money to move off grid. We don't have acreage. We don't have all the skills. We're saying that collectively sustainable, you can build your food security in that community, that intentional community right where you are. That's where we are right now. We are also in transition to build our actual phase 2, which for people who opt out of the system in totality and they say, hey, I built this community. I know people who have carpentry skills. I know people who grow food. I know herbalists. I know doctors. I know handymen. And we're all ready to bounce. We all ready to vamp the scene and live completely under our own authority as far as the governance is considered. We're going to usher in this new culture come hell or high water, and we'll be over here. All right. If you're there, you'll want to be in our phase 2. And that's where we are in transition. We're actually starting to build our framework for community, our governance, our sustainability within the community, our laws, bylaws, or rules, or regulatory fashion. So it's a lot. And again, we've never really shown a lot of this stuff, but I think the time is called for it. So we're really going to be a lot more vocal and a lot more transparent. And definitely comment and leave some questions if you have any. We love to respond. But yeah, this particular episode, if you will, is going to be going over when we had our community meeting. In this particular community meeting, we were just talking about the original. I think this might have been our first community meeting where we were actually talking about how we felt, the words needed to describe our community, kind of where we see ourselves in community. And it was a wonderful conversation. So just tune in and let's see what we dig up on the back end. Again, we're watching the backside of the backside. You know what I mean? So join your boy.
Intention for this gathering today is to connect, get to know each other better, based on how we're thinking about this. It's to align our collective visions to create, a unified, collective individual visions to create a unified collective vision, and to co-create the foundation of the collectively sustainable village.
All right, let me jump in real quick to set the tempo even further, right? We're at a generation now where we understand the stars' alignment is powerful. We understand the full moon brings this energy. We understand the new moon brings this energy. We understand that we can't take universal alignment for granted. Right now, we're speaking on the powers of manifestation. We're all talking about this new community, this new way of life, this new paradigm. If we all continue talking about it and we're in unison because we're allowing each one of us to speak, we're finding where our voices align and we start to speak in the same rhythm at the same cadence at the same time. Okay, I just wanted to say that real quick.
All right, that name can change, but that's just what I'm calling it now. If we decide we want to change it to something else, we can, of course, right? So the next thing that I would like for all of us to do is take some time sharing our high level vision for a collectively sustainable village. Like short phrases or one words for key elements of your vision. So like, for example, like zero waste, minimalism, aquaponics, food forests, sociocracy, unschooling, etc. You know, you can just high level, when you think of a collectively sustainable village, you know, what elements does it have? You know, what are the key elements that encompass what's drawing you to a collectively sustainable vision and what you want to see in it? Does that make sense to anyone? I mean, to everybody?
Absolutely.
All right.
I have empathy, self-directed learning, environmentally friendly, natural foods, wellness, creative joy, intuition, connection, consciousness, accountability, sovereignty, liberation, love, balance, chosen family, vibrational medicine, co-regulation, activated power, brain space, and embodiment.
Yeah, I'll go next, man. I actually thought it was supposed to be one word. So I chose reciprocity. I think as we venture into collectively sustainable modalities, we have to understand that we can, as much as we take out, we need to be willing and ready and able to pour back in, so that we can continue this thing going. So reciprocity is always my key word.
I have sustainable whole / fresh food plus access. Like I was supposed with production plus access. Community, relationship, fellowship, synergy, being collaborative and safe.
My three, I put three elements: ecological restoration, mutualistic relationships, and sociocracy. So those-
Okay, I just got to jump in. My community member, you heard him. Ecological restoration. That's big. That's big. Word to the nature's boy. You know what I mean? A lot of us, again, are aligning ourselves with nature. We're saying that the creator put the herbs in the field. That's the medicine for our bodies. They put the fruits on the trees for our meat. They put all the things here and reach for our sustainability. We don't have to have a middleman for that. Nor do we have to have a middleman to really see God. We can see God through creation. We can honor God through creation and stewardship of the creation, right? And thus, somebody has to fight for Mother Earth. Somebody has to right the wrongs. We can have 1,000 articles about what's happening, how they're dumping things in the ocean, how water is being contaminated by runoff. We have all these things we can pull documentation on, but who's the unified crew who's standing and saying y'all can't do that? And not just, hey, we got to go over here and protest or fill out some petitions, but really gonna toe the line about it. I'm just saying we're not there yet. But I'm saying there needs to be some kind of civilian brigade, Earth's brigade, because we have to have some. Hell, Dumbledore had an army. I'm saying, do the Earth not need some folks to? I'm just saying that's a real conversation. Ecological restoration.
Have unified household, unified community. That's kind of like equal. Unified household, unified community. Everyone is an educator, skill sharing, empathetic, accountable, and loving.
I love that everyone is an educator, because we can let's all learn from each other, even the children are educators.
Everyone is an educator. That is definitely true to life, man. And anybody who really has taken the time to do some self-evaluation and you studied how maybe, you said something, your parents shut you down or shut you out or didn't let you express it. And then you grew up like realizing like, man, I was actually right a couple of them times when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like they ain't have to do me like that because I was right. And I think that's one of those things as a new culture emerges, is that as we're framing the new culture, we're understanding that yes, these children can teach us too. Yes, the elders can teach us too. We're not too young to where we can't listen to old folks. We ain't too old to where we can't listen to young folks. And we're not too grown to where we can't get schooled by a child. That's a part of our culture. So when we talk about collectively sustainable, the children are not omitted from this strategy. They're very much our leaders as well. And I think that's another cultural norm that's needed to be nailed down for us just in general, because yes, our children come in with some brilliance. It's usually the system that we're in that pulls us away from that brilliance, or away from that natural, that thing that you come to bring. So yes, we need to listen to these children. Yes, everybody is a teacher. Absolutely.
First one thing that jumped to mind is cooperation, and I think that's connected to the way I think of cooperation is connected to reciprocity. Second thing, nurturing happiness and healthiness in humans and the earth for generations to come. And third, repair intergenerational trauma.
Intergenerational trauma. I like that one. That's not something that's on mine or something I thought about, but I think that it's something that we can help each other heal for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people carrying epigenetic trauma right now due to slavery's role in society, and I really would like to be part of a pushback and a repair. And it's both selfish and for the common good.
So this was really deep to me. This really resonated with me very, very, very deeply. This is one of our community members who was, basically just expressing her ties to slavery, her ancestral ties to slavery, and how she is a recipient of those ties. And when we think about generational trauma as a black man in America, I'm typically fixated on our version of the trauma, right? When we talk about generational trauma, how things are passed down through the bloodline, it's typical for me in my mind to go towards my experience and how generational trauma is a thing that we hold. And this was the first time that I ever really heard the opposite side, the one who is in a position of wealth and establishment and does have a lot of things afforded to them, hearing that trauma burdens them, hearing that that's something that's passed down that they're ashamed of, that they don't want any part of, that they wish they can get away from. So really understanding, with this diverse community, able to have these types of conversations, it was really just eye opening to me to understand the power of collective healing. Like, so this community member particularly, she is a divester. So that wealth that she has acquired, she's turning that wealth over back to the people in the form of creating a new culture in a very righteous way. And like she said, it's almost selfish to a degree, because I'm sure that there's people in her family that do not want her to do this. I'm sure. And maybe we might be able to have a conversation one day and have that on, but I'm certain it doesn't feel good for everybody. So yes, it's somebody standing up and saying this wasn't right. I'm a benefactor of this. I'm a beneficiary of this. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to have this looming over my head or integrated in my DNA and my spirit. I don't want to pass it on anymore. And the way I can do it, that I feel good about, that I'm called to do it with, or do it in a way that's meaningful, is to help people create systems that pull them out of the system that put people in harm, right? That put people in shackles. And I mean, it was deep for me. It was really deep. We even had another conversation after that. After we got off the phone, a couple of us hung out and just talked about that, and really just understanding how impactful just us collectively healing and moving through this thing together, how it's going to echo and reverberate through the dimension that we're in right now. And I believe that this is a strong, strong conversational piece to just have about divestment and, the healing that comes with just taking a stance against the norm and against, the power that you have as somebody who inherited a lot of wealth. So that was deep.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Deirdre.
A community that's diverse, free, uncoerced, kind, patient, and connected. Free to still be who they are individually, not having to conform to a certain posturing in order to feel as if they belong. Those words are pretty self-explanatory, but like the reason behind it is one, to make sure that I am safe in a space to agree, disagree, find something else a priority that, maybe isn't the group priority, just making sure that we are all still celebrated, loved individual, even as secret.
To feel safe is to be able to really be vulnerable, to be yourself. And a lot of communities don't allot that space. So we take pride on that acceptance and tolerance and, empathetic listening and questions. So it's like we're really trying to build the bridge of understanding. We're not trying to build the bridge of coercion. We don't want to coerce you to think like us, or we don't want you to coerce us to think like you, but we're all saying that we need to bring about a new culture where we just need to be able to verbalize the differences and how we feel. And that's it. And if I could just say that, you get a better understanding. You don't have to agree, but you can feel safe enough to where you can say, man, when I have a disagreement, I can verbalize that too and not feel like an outcast, not feel like I'm going to get kicked off the island. You know what I mean? So I think that safety is a big feeling for people when we're talking about intentional community building, for sure.
I love the uncoerced. I love that you named that, Karen, because I think I just know that that's something I've worked on interrogating within myself in all of my relation, how I relate with other people over the years. It's something I had to do a lot of work on to make sure I'm moving in ways that don't coerce. And I think that's a blind spot for a lot of folks still. And I think it's definitely a part of the pre-work that a lot of us have to do going into, this type of liberated context. And keeping that front of mind is important. So I appreciate you naming it in that way. Karen, you mentioned something about fear to start. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, I've had experiences of, communities that were arranged around certain principles, a vegan community, for example, and it was pretty militant, pretty unforgiving of others, pretty closed to others, and at times unkind.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When I first heard her say a vegan militant community, I'm like, what kind of vegans is these, man? But the real life reality is, y'all be some judgmental ass folks when you see folks eating meat. Oh my God, man. Hey, man, we be having kids here that come from vegan households, and the look on their face when they see that we eat our chickens or we eat the quail or we eat the sheep, the disgust. Man, hey man, y'all got to loosen up a little bit. But the real life reality is that's how a lot of these intentional communities are, period. Right? This vegan was just funny that she called that out. And that's usually the community that I feel like is the most judgmental. But I don't be paying it no mind. It don't bother me none. I bust a 20-piece down, put feet on the table and everything. Swallow it down with some moonshine too if I had some. But the reality is that, again, that's blending into that unsafe space. These are places that typically require you to conform.
In how they spoke about others or viewed others, because they were such fervent in their belief. And so, I understand how fervor can sometimes translate into unkindness and break connection. And so that's something that I don't want to be a part of, and so really quickly. There's a bit of history in community, like, are you Black enough? Are you militant enough? Are you radical enough? In my history. And so, again, wanting to just be able to be who I am without having to fear it.
One of the biggest motivators for me when I envision this type of community is preparing the next generation to be so well adjusted to liberation and freedom and anti-oppression that when they go into conventional places and spaces, it'll automatically feel so uncomfortable to them that they'll know where home is. And or if they do choose, well, they'll have a place where they can always live and thrive and they never have to leave if they don't want to. They won't have to go create it because we already did it for them.
All right, that's my bro Sunjata, man. You heard him. That's again a pillar of our community. We're centered around agriculture in the family, right? That's our community. That's our edifice. That's where we build everything with that in mind, right? So we're not subscribing to the cultural norm of you kick your child out at 18. We're building something where if your child wants to stay and continue living in that culture and continue being a steward of that land, that's what you're supposed to do.
Right? So they can always just live and be there, liberated. But if they choose to go navigate the conventional society, they'll immediately know how to advocate for themselves because they'll feel oppression immediately. They'll feel coercion. They'll feel, all the various isms and all the things that, cause harm out there. And to me, like that gets me really, really excited about this work that we're doing. Is the ability to create a community where young people can grow up and this is like all they know. That gets me really excited. So I would love to be in community where we're reducing our carbon footprint because we are, adopting zero waste practices and continue to evolve. I mean, we're getting better and better and better over time. We're not going to be perfect at first because we grew up in a conventional world and we use conventional products and things to varying degrees, but learning how to relinquish dependency on those things and learning how to be, live regeneratively in every way. That's something I'm really interested in. Being post-capitalist, being a post-capitalist society. So like when I envision, again, creating this community, for me, it's bigger than just creating a space for me. Or let's say me and mine, right? For me, it's like also, I want to be, it's like a form of like organizing and activism in a sense that I want this place to be a model for others who want to be able to transition away from conventional, society into the next.
Like my bro just said, that's again, in a nutshell, why we're doing this, why we're documenting, why we're showing the behind the scenes conversations. These are real heartfelt messages. This is really why we're doing it. We're not doing it for financial gain. We're not doing it for fame. We're really doing this so that somebody else somewhere else can build the same system. Phase one of that system, you're just building a community of people that surround you within a 20-mile radius. But the whole thing is we're just encouraging people through showing what we've been doing. Like we're living this new world. We're putting our children in the conversations. I know y'all hear them kids in the back. Like we're literally building this with families in mind and for it to be replicable, right? This is where we're working the land. We're feeding ourselves. We're finding a way how to co-house. We're finding a way to steward land collectively. Even right now, on our property, we'll have community members who are staying here for a certain amount of time to help or to be of service to them, right? But this is our community standard. We're bringing it to the forefront and we're just showing again that there's no cards up our sleeves. We're really doing this for the betterment and the forward motion of humanity.
So I would like to live the values, be the values, so that we could also create a blueprint for others to follow who choose to. When folks really get tired and we done with this, it's like a lot of people now, they try to leave the country, right? A lot of folks that leave the country, they get mad at the US. But, capitalism, power over is worldwide, So I would love to create that place where folks can just transition out and into something new where we are, or with them duplicating what we create. So that's also something that's really inspiring for me and gets me excited, is the opportunity to do that as well. I feel like everything else that y'all said is lockstep. And I want to plus one what some of y'all said that I think is important, and it's a bold statement, and I know is something that's ever evolving in all of us, and we're all at different stages of it, right? It's like, one of the things about living into the future is also healing those past traumas around, the harm that was done around racism, enslavement, etc. And I don't know when I made the transition over to seeing, like, when I think about community, it's not just about someone's phenotype or the color of their skin tone. It's more about their heart and their mind.
This new paradigm, we're not being caught up in the divisive tactics of capitalism. We're not being bound by race, religion, color, sexual orientation, social status. We're not, those walls are coming, they're crumbling down. We're not worried about any of that stuff. We're saying, are you the type of person that agrees that we can't just dump anything in the ocean? Are you the type of person that agrees that we can't just clear cut hundreds of acres because we want to make a product or because we want to make a new baseball field? Are you the type of person that says it's a damn shame that them folks done took out away that park and put that gas station right there? Now what these kids gonna do? I'm just saying, if you're that type of person, that the relationship with the earth and us really continue to strengthen our bond is going to be the thing that pulls us into the new dimension. We're not going to do it by being foreign to the earth. We're not going to be able to do it by not co-creating and living in the space in harmony and not doing our original task as man, which is to steward the land. We have to come back to that place. And I'm not talking about it from a biblical context. I don't know nothing about them boys with the fringes on. I know a little bit, but I can't say it like that. No disrespect, but just as respect to their culture. I don't know nothing about them. I'm saying this is pulled from my soul. And I'm saying something called me. I find that God is out here in nature. I'm saying that God is talking to me and saying, hey, don't let these folk trash me out. Don't let these folk hold me out like that, man. Do something. And I'm saying, damn it, I'm on it. So again, that's what I'm looking to join with. That's what Collectively Sustainable is about. We're building bridges, not gullies. That system is done. That's capitalism. It's washed out. Do you like to grow food? Me too. God damn it. We best friends now.
And there is a lot of folks out there who are, wherever they are in their journey, is like fearful to organize with people who look different than them. And even there's people who are fearful organizing with other genders. I know people who are creating women-only communities or LGBTQ plus only communities along the same lines because they're afraid to engage with men or they're afraid to engage with, hetero people, etc. And I want to be a part of being in community with people who are willing to do the work that I personally have done, because I grew up with all those biases, but I personally have put a lot of work into questioning them, challenging them, and moving beyond them, and understanding that, biodiversity in nature is the most healthy ecosystem, and humans are nature. And biodiversity within our relationships, within our communities, is just as important if we want to be the most resilient.
And my boy Sunjata dropping jewels, man. I done said it before. He just reiterating. We so tight that you get our style tangled, man. Shaq and Kobe. But the whole thing is that's it. That's our teacher. She's my teacher. And I'm saying I'm listening to her because I can get a sense of authenticity, unadulterated authenticity. So yeah, just reiterate it, man. We're stronger together. We're stronger as a diverse group that moves and lock and step together. Man, there's nothing that can compare to a unified people. And so that's word to mama now.
Based on the example of, species in nature that have been around longer than humans, I've done a lot of research on this type of thing. So that's why I'm saying it like that. And it's like the most biodiverse ecosystems are the ones that are the most resilient against threats and etc. So I think that's important to move beyond that and not continue to fall into that trap.
This is honoring and respecting natural law. I feel like when you live, based in natural law, everything else will tend to fall in place, because you're respecting others' freedom, their sovereignty, and their rights, and you're doing no harm to others. So it's, a simple principle, but I feel like it's the foundation to everything. You want something to, end up in peace and harmony, it has to start in peace and harmony, So that's it for me.
Natural law is a big part of our community. That's our governance when it comes to just how we should treat each other, how we should expect treatment from other people. Natural law is simple. Man's law is complicated. And so definitely look into Cynthia in Affirm Life Daily for more information on natural law. But the premise is simple. You can't steal. You can't steal time. You can't steal by being deceptive or deceitful. You can't steal by taking life. You can't steal by actually physically taking property or taking from somebody's sovereignty. That simple input. No theft. Natural law. Easy. We love it.
Turn this around, show y'all
All the commotion.
what it look like when you build community, man, with families in mind.
.org.
OneCommunityGlobal.org.
We appreciate y'all's work.
I sent them a message because I'm in awe with them.
Yeah.
They even do a weekly update on YouTube of their progress. Weekly update, and they're looking to break ground to build all 7 of these on the same property. So, like for one, this is an Earth Bag Village, Straw Bale Village, Compressed Earth Block Village, Recycled Materials Village, Treehouse Village, Shipping Container Village, Cobb Village.
So that OneCommunityGlobal.org, y'all check them out. They're a wonderful resource, jam-packed with information. We're definitely taking notes to some of the framework they have. As we're going forward with building our community, we're taking their blueprints for their container homes or their co-op structures, and we're kind of tweaking them depending on where we go. But that's kind of a resource that we're using, again, to help us. Hopefully it can be a benefit to you. Same way our information hopefully is a benefit to you, or One Global, One Community Global, if they ever needed the internal framework. But again, this is how we, again, skill share and share things broadly, even when it's, other people's work. So y'all definitely check out One Community Global. Wonderful resource.
So one of the things, all right, so when we're talking about, again, next steps, I think one of the first things is like deciding like what type of bill do we want? What type of structures can we all decide that we could see ourselves being in? You know what I mean? Are we gonna, so some of the things around land, for example, I've always thought about is like being stewards. Instead of owning anything, that we're collectively stewarding the land, we're collectively stewarding the properties. Like being an example of like post-capitalist, organizing and living.
So again, this conversation, this Rooted and Ready conversation, is basically us showing the back end of the community. We're showing the internal work, the internal conversations, our framework for non-ownership, like putting our land in the trust, starting a land trust, and these stewardship centers being able to elevate into incorporating themselves into a land trust. So these are all models that we are planning for post-capitalistic movements, right? Or sustainability post-capitalism. And I think this is just, more than necessary for us to carve this out to make it digestible, and so that it can be drug and dropped, multiple places. The more people that do this, the more people that engage within this construct of lifestyle and culture, the more we spread our energy, the more we raise the vibration to the dimension that we're calling for. And so again, I appreciate y'all watching. This was a Rooted and Ready conversation, man. Tune in for more Collectively Sustainable.
Let these folks see the flavor.
You know I'm excited. You know it.
Thanks for for joining us, y'all. Collectivelysustainable.org. Collectivelysustainable.org. Become a steward if y'all want to join these meetings. Make sure y'all become a steward.